So, like she said, I'm Candace. I'm a physical therapist. A little bit about me. I graduated from Wichita State in 2016 with my doctorate. And so ARC has been my first job. Never even knew work comp existed till I got out of PT school. And then they threw you into it. And they said, this is what you need to do to keep people safe. And so I kind of clung to that. And then over the years, they've given me opportunity to come out and do a lot of talking, getting to know employers, and work with different colleagues and things like that. I actually have one here with me right now. Toby, our marketing guy, couldn't be here today, so I have Miss Shauna. She is my PTA at my clinic. We also have another clinic out at Kellogg and Ridge area, so that's kind of an option if anybody needs therapy out there too. But for the most part, you guys are going to come see me. I just had a little girl. I just got back from maternity leave. She's 6 months old, and so she's a little fireball. I've been up since 5:30 this morning, so I haven't had my coffee. So I will, live vicariously through you who is drinking coffee this morning. So today I'm going to talk to you about lifting techniques, stretching, things that are very important. Some of you may recognize us from doing post-offer testing. At some point, some of you may recognize us as your physical therapist. We kind of drill that in. Sometimes patients come in and they say, oh, well, I see your face when I do something wrong, and then it hurts, and it's kind of drilled in. That's kind of my job. That's what I do, okay? So that's pretty much what we're going to talk about today. You also have a stretching handout. That's important. If you trash it afterwards, that's fine too, but if you can take away anything from today, it's going to be what's going to be most important and keep you safe in your job, okay? So, some risk factors that we're going to kind of talk about. So, your posture makes a huge difference, okay? The force that's generated during a certain task, the amount of repetitions you do when you perform that task, the equipment you use, okay, the environment you're in, the hot, the cold, the humid, everything. And then personal factors, so like age, height, weight, all those play a big role in risk factors for injury. So, one of the risk factors for the neck, okay, so if you're working with your head bent, so in a flex position, 45 degrees, without support or inability to change your posture for more than 4 hours a day. Okay, so that's a risk factor right there, okay? For the shoulder, okay? So working overhead. A lot of people work overhead and they don't realize they do it literally all day, every day. Raising your hands above head, even your elbow. So your elbow above your shoulder height, and even working in that position. And then the repetitiveness of that plays a role in risk factors. For the back, which is super important as well. So if you're bent over in a forward bent position for more than 30 degrees without support or inability to change position for more than 4 hours a day is a huge risk factor for back pain. Also, if you are bent in a more 45-degree angle for more than 2 hours a day, okay? So those are just going to be things that are going to, you might be in a position for 2 hours and not realize it, and then get up and be like, oh gosh, my back's killing me. That's what we want to avoid, are those kind of things. So for force, so it's the increased weight of the load. So it doesn't have to be necessarily gripping force or anything like that. It can be the lifting force, the pushing force, all of that. Large or awkward shaped equipment, boxes, bags of Quikrete, things like that make a huge difference. Slippery objects, so if you're water lines and fire hoses and things like that, that makes a huge difference. And then the vibration, so hand tools, power tools, things like that. The repetition, okay, so performing the same or similar activities every few seconds, or a cycle of motion more than 2 minutes for more than 2 consecutive hours. So, if you've come to me for physical therapy, we have crazy, outrageous numbers. So, a lot of you have probably seen a job description or saw kind of what you have to be able to do for your job, right? So, sometimes people come in and their job says they have to be able to reach overhead on a constant basis. So, if they have to do this constantly, all day long. So whether they're working overhead, if they're laying down and their hands are over their head, anything like that, is that's a constant basis. That's 65 reps when you're in my clinic. People are like, what? I have to do how many? You're killing me, okay? So that's within an 8-hour day. So what they're saying is you're doing a repetitive cycle over and over and over again. So if you do something for 2 minutes and then take a break, 2 minutes, take a break, you might have done 30 or 40 different reps in those 2 minutes and didn't realize it, okay? So a lot of people come in, they have to work overhead, you know, they do this, and they have their goal is for 5 minutes. I don't know that I can do it for 5 minutes. My job description doesn't say that. But I tell people, I'm like, if you can take a break, you can bring your hands down a little bit lower, as long as your elbows are above your shoulder height. So use that knowledge. So when you're working overhead, make sure that if you need to take a break and kind of do something down lower, that's fine. It's still considered overhead. But as long as you are able to take breaks, that will help. Okay? So the equipment you use. So the weight of the equipment, it can be something as simple as a stapler. That's equipment. It could be something as simpler as a backhoe, a police vehicle. It could be any type of equipment you're in. Okay? The force production that's used for that. So I can't remember. I believe for like firefighters, I think it's like 90 pounds of force, I think, in order to grip something. I think it's 90 pounds, and they have to do it repetitively for like 5 or 6 different times and hit that. Okay, so that's the amount of force that they're talking about for like fire hoses and climbing trucks and things like that. Vibration tools. So it could be drills, impact drills, saws, anything like that as far as equipment. The environment. So indoors, outdoors, flooring, lighting, temperature, all those things play a role in what you can do as far as safe lifting. Doesn't seem like it, but we're going to talk about it. So exposure to cold. So your joints in the tissue are, they lose their flexibility, okay, so you're not as mobile. The clothing, okay, so if you want to stay warm, that's fine, but it can interact with your movements, okay, so you may not be able to properly lift something like you should, okay. It causes more fatigue, okay, so you want to take frequent rest breaks to be able to warm up, okay. Heat. So again, proper clothing, okay? So taking the frequent breaks. So if you're sweaty and the box is slippery or the hose is slippery and you're all sweaty and you're tired from being out in the heat, that's a risk factor for inability to properly lift or do things, okay? Personal factors. So it can be your body type, your age, your gender, your lifestyle, or your medical status, okay? So I am not a gymnast. More like the dude on the side there. That's kind of how I am. Those play a role, and you don't think about it so much, but those do play a role. Okay? So when it comes to lifting, so objects held at arm's distance from your body, center of gravity, can produce 10 times the amount of force. Okay? So if you hold something out here, that's 100 pounds of force on your back, and you're only lifting a 10-pound box. Okay? If you hold it close to your body, that's 10 pounds of force on your back, lifting a 10-pound box. Does that make sense? Okay? So if you're doing something out here and you're constantly moving something or twisting, that's a lot of pressure on the back. Okay? So if you take anything away, please take that. Understand that. Okay? Because I don't know, I can't lift 100 pounds. So rules for lifting. You're going to bend your knees. You're going to test the weight first. So never lift something that you're unsure of the weight, okay? You're going to grip it. You're going to use your whole hand. No fingertip grips, nothing like that. We talk to patients all day long. You have to use your whole hand, okay? You're going to hug the box. So anything close to your body, that's where we want it to be if you can. You're going to align your spine, so you're going to look straight ahead. You're never going to look down, okay? And you're always going to lift with your legs. Never twist or perform quick jerking movements to lift anything, okay? So give yourself plenty of time to do that, okay? So we have a proper lift and we have an improper lift, okay? I'm not going to ask this question. I don't want people to, throw themselves under the bus or anything, but think about when you pick something up. Are you the person lifting it properly, or are you the person lifting it not properly? Okay? That's what we want to work on. That's what we're thinking of, okay? It's not just your legs, it's your hands, it's your shoulders, your shoulder blades. When we see shoulder injuries, we work on a lot of shoulder blade strengthening. That plays a big role in lifting, because when you hold that box, you have to essentially squeeze your shoulder blades. You have to use all those muscles to hold that box. It's not just your legs and your forearms that are carrying something, okay? Okay, rules for pushing and pulling. So you've got equipment, rakes, hoses, you got all kinds of things you got to push and pull, okay? So you're always going to try to push unless it's avoidable, okay? You have more momentum pushing than you do pulling, okay? You're going to keep, again, your arms closer to your body. You're going to keep a firm grip and your elbows slightly bent. So you never want to try to pull with straight arms. That just puts a lot of strain on the shoulder. Bend your knees. You're always going to have a staggered stance, so you're always going to have one foot in front of the other when you're pulling, okay? And if you're pushing, you're going to take short, steady steps, okay? So never try to push really hard. That just jolts the back, the upper back, the neck when you try to do that. Okay? So these are just some examples of pushing and pulling. Again, you've got, if you have equipment you can use it. If you don't, find safe ways to figure out how to move it. And if you can't, that's what I'm here for, okay? So we come out to employers all the time and we'll reassess job descriptions and what makes things easier and better. I am recently certified in ergonomics, so I do ergonomics testing for, it can be industrial or like secretaries, things like that too. So that plays a big role in my presentations now, because I am ergonomic certified. So if I have to go out to an employer and look at something, then I kind of know, I have a little better understanding of what I'm doing, I guess. Okay, so pivot lifting, okay? So you never want to twist or do the jerking motions. We talked about that. So you're going to have one foot in the direction you're going, okay, and the other foot in the destination. So if I'm going to go this way, I'm going to have one foot where I'm starting, I'm going to have the other foot where I'm going to pivot to. Okay? I'm never going to just pick it up and do this motion. Okay? Your back's not meant for that. As much as they say it is, it's not. So, how do we reduce those risk factors? Okay? So change your posture often. Sit, stand, do something to the left, do something to the right. Those will help. Body mechanics, that's why we're here, right? Working between your knees and shoulders. So you have a power zone, okay? This is ergonomics talking. You have a power zone. Your power zone is from your knee to your shoulders. This is where you are most functional, okay, and safest in those positions. Workstation adjustability. So if you need a stool so you don't have to reach overhead, if you need to be in a laying down position more than a squatting position, those kind of things. Plan your activities. So again, test the weight. Don't just jerk up that big old bag of Quikrete and toss it, okay? Even though you know how much it weighs, you're probably tired. It's hot. It's going to be like heat index of like 106 today, okay? So you're going to be fatigued just from the heat. Do your warm-up exercises and stretches, okay? So you have a handout. These are just micro stretches, okay? Those are important to do. We're going to go over some bigger stretches, okay? So you're going to rotate your work often. You're going to do your micro stretches that we talked about that are on your sheet, okay? You're going to utilize the biggest joints to do the work. So you've got big muscles and little muscles. If you have the little muscles do all the job all the time, then you're going to fatigue quicker. That's a risk factor. You're going to injure yourself, that kind of stuff. If you use the bigger muscles, such as your legs when you lift, those help because your back muscles are not very big, okay? And then utilize the technology when available. So if you have lifts, if you have things like that to help. If you have a partner, a coworker, something like that, that will help. So warm-up stretches. You're going to hold them for 10 to 15 seconds. Repeat them 3 to 5 times, 2 to 3 times a day. So over a break, a lunch break, whatever you got, if you need to get out of your car because you've been patrolling for 3 hours, you got to get up and walk around, do it. If you've been washing the fire truck all afternoon and you guys need to take a break, walk around, do some stretches, get out of those positions, okay? So, we are going to do interactive because that's my job. That's what I do, okay? I don't like to be the one person just standing up here showing you what to do. So, we're all going to stand up if we can. You get an exception. Yes, I apologize you can't interact, but I'll let it slide this one time. Okay, so now, these are never to be painful, okay? So if you do them and your back hurts, what do? Stop doing them, okay? And then kind of reassess and see if maybe it's just tired and you need to, take a break for a second, okay? So the first one, you're gonna put your hands at your lower part of your back, and you're just gonna kind of look up to the ceiling, okay? It's not a very big motion. I know, right? It is 8:17 in the morning, and I'm feeling it, okay? So you do 10 to 15 seconds, 3 to 5 different times, 2 to 3 times a day. That's stretch number 1, okay? Then you've got a side bend stretch. That works out these muscles in the side of the trunk, okay? So same thing, you're just gonna kind of go to the side. Again, if it hurts, stop doing it, okay? I'd rather not explain to Jennifer why you have to come to my clinic after this stretch today. And then you're gonna switch sides, good, yep. Okay? I know, right? We're getting you all warmed up for the day. You're gonna be like, this lady's crazy. She's making me do these things and I'm gonna be sore when I go back to work. Okay, so for wrist, a lot of typers, things like that. You're just gonna grab your palm, or grab your fingers, you're just gonna pull them towards you. If this hurts, bend your elbow, okay? And then you just flip the hand down and do the same thing, stretching the top of your wrist, okay? So whether you're doing typing, whether you're using hand tools, whether you're running equipment, doesn't matter. You still wanna do these stretches, okay? And you'll do both sides. Really get those muscles stretched out. Sorry, didn't change it? All right. Then you got muscles around your shoulder blades. Those tend to get really tight. A lot of times when we see patients, they have trigger points, so muscle tension, things like that. That's usually where we find it, is those rhomboids. Those are along the shoulder blade. So you're going to interlock your hands if you can, and then you're going to push away from you. Okay? If you don't feel a super big stretch with that, then kind of tuck your head and try to push like you're pushing a wall away from you. Okay? Again, you're going to hold it 2 to 3 times a day periodically, okay? All right, the back of the shoulder. Posterior is just a fancy word for back. So you're just gonna kind of cross over, okay? So depending on where you feel it, you can hold here if you feel it too much. You've got the elbow, you've got the shoulder you can hold on to, okay? And both sides. Okay. Next one, I know you guys are laughing at me, I get it. No, I'm just kidding. You're like, I feel it already. Okay, and you're just gonna pat yourself on the back like this, and then you're just gonna grab that elbow. Okay? If you can't grab the elbow, then just reach to the back. Okay? And switch sides. No matter what the job is, these are important. Okay? If you sit at a desk all day, do these. If you are out running around all day, do these, okay? All right, next one's a little bit harder to do, but you got chairs if you want to. Try them. If not, it's totally okay. So back of the hamstring, so the back of the leg, you're just gonna prop your foot up on something, okay? If you don't feel it, you're gonna pull your toes towards you, okay? And then for the front of the leg, you can either grab the leg, okay? Or you can prop the foot up on something. Okay? So these are the bigger muscle groups that we talk about when you lift. Okay? All right, and then calf stretch. So you can do this on a wall or you can do it standing. So in standing, you're just going to take a staggered stance and you're going to bend your back leg. Okay? If you're at a wall, you do the same thing. You just hold onto the wall for balance and you stretch out the leg. Okay? All right, and then you have micro stretches. So some of them are repeat. Okay, these are the ones that are similar on your handout. So you've got neck stretches. So neck side to side. So again, you're just going to hold that position 10 to 15 seconds or so, and do both sides. All right? Then you're going to look over your shoulder. And same thing. Okay? Like look at your partner next to you. He's a handsome guy, lovely lady. Trying to butter you guys up this morning? Come on now. All right. Then you're going to tuck your chin and then back up. Okay? So again, holding it 10 to 15 seconds. Okay? This one we didn't do. So this is a common test for certain diagnoses in the hand, like typers and stuff. But you're just going to grab your thumb and just go like you're hammering. Okay? So you should feel it all along here. These are just little muscles. Okay? And then you've got these up and down. So these exercises really should only take you like maybe 10 minutes to do in the morning, 10 minutes at lunch, 10 minutes in the evening. Okay, so it doesn't take long to go through all these stretches to loosen things up. Okay, while you're doing your hamstring stretch, okay, do this one, do your wrists. Multiply, put them together so that way it doesn't take you as long. Okay, we didn't do this one. This one's just for the shoulders itself to kind of loosen things up. Okay. We call this one the corner stretch at work. We put our patients in the corner when they're misbehaving. But it's basically just to stretch out the front of the shoulders. So you can find a corner if you want, or you can just kind of squeeze your shoulder blades together. Okay? If you find a corner, it just gives you more of a stretch. Okay? So basically your hands are on either side of the corner, and you step forward. Okay? You can do it in a door frame too, as long as the door frame's not super wide. Okay? I think some on your little handout, I think are like these little things, like little circles, fingers, that kind of stuff. But for the most part, we've kind of hit all of them. Okay, you guys can have a seat. Thank you for being interactive. I appreciate it. And any questions? None? That was a perfect presentation? Never. I don't believe it. Nothing? Okay. If you have any questions or something comes up, you are more than welcome to get a hold of Jennifer. She's the one that's been reaching out to me. And I can answer some questions over email. I will be here again tomorrow to do the same presentation in the afternoon. So if there's something you feel like I missed or whatnot, you can always let your supervisor know, let Jennifer know. She'll let me know if there's something I need to cover that I missed. Okay? Does everyone have a good understanding of lifting and how to lift and what to do? I understand there's those random scenarios that never work out perfectly because that's not life. I'm pretty sure I've heard all of them in my clinic, and I've seen all of them in the past 3 years that I've been there. So if you're in awkward positions or have trouble with something, please don't hesitate to reach out. We can definitely help you guys out. Some of you recognize this just because we did your post-offer testing. We kind of drill that into your head when you do the post-offer testing because you have to do a safe lift before you can move on to the test. So if you can't safely lift what you need to lift, then you can't finish the rest of the test because it's not, if you have to lift an 80-pound bag of concrete or Quikrete and you can't lift an 80-pound box, I'm not going to have you lift an 80-pound bag. That's an even more awkward because it's not a box. It's not something with handles. Okay? So if you get in any of the scenarios, let us know. Okay? Perfect. That is all I have for you. Do you have anything else for them?
No.
Okay.
Make sure if you didn't print your name in, that way we can get you marked down as being complete. Make sure you do that. And for joining us this morning.
You guys are all warmed up, pumped, ready to go for the day? Yeah.